The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem. All right, joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Knox Ridley, portfolio manager at IO Fund, which specializes in tech-focused stock portfolios. Hello there, Knox. Thanks for joining us. So I see, for the past 2 days, the crypto markets have been on a huge rally. Seems to be some profit taking today, low volumes, not a lot of trading. What's your thoughts on your short-term outlook on crypto?
Short term, we're focused predominantly on price and price action, and so for us, for this rally to really have some legs and suggest the probability of a significant bottom being put in place, we really need to rally above the 46,000 level. And once we get there, that to me would start shifting probabilities towards that happening. However, if we break below 40,000 before that, then we believe the next leg will probably be in place, and we'll be looking to be heavy buyers if that does happen.
Good morning, Knox. While we're talking about the short term, obviously there's a huge geopolitical conflict going on. And, when this first started, when Russia first invaded Ukraine, Bitcoin kind of crashed along with a lot of other, stocks. And now it's kind of on the upswing. So maybe this is all coincidental, but I would just be curious about your take. Yesterday when Bitcoin went up again, people were asking, is this because, Russians and Ukrainians are using crypto as a safe haven? I just would be interested to hear your view in general of what the relationship is between these fluctuations and the current conflict.
Sure. And I'm not sure if my answer will be satisfying, but we studied crypto quite thoroughly from many angles. And, we're not into all cryptos. We're into certain ones that have very unique tech behind them. And what's unique from my perspective as a technical analyst who studies price charts is there's not a lot of news moving these coins. You can't look at various altcoins and look at the swings in them and say that news is moving them. So we believe that sentiment has a bigger factor than anything. And a case in point, when El Salvador announced that they're going to be, allowing Bitcoin to be a national currency and offered their program to give Bitcoin to their citizens and wallets, that marked the top recently. And then we saw Canada come out and weaponize their central banking system in order to go after protesters. To me, that should have been a significant bottom for Bitcoin from a news standpoint, and it just continued to go down. So I tend to believe that some of this is coincidental. To me, the correlation that really matters right now is the U.S. dollar inversely to Bitcoin. There seems to be a correlation going on there. As a dollar is going up in strength, that tended to mark a bit of a top with Bitcoin. So that to me is the correlation that I'm watching.
So what do you think is behind this volatility? Because when the Russians entered Ukraine, we saw a huge plummeting of the global markets in general, and including crypto. And then we saw since Monday a huge rally. So what do you think is behind that?
It's interesting. If you look back in history, if you just study the price charts and the correlation between assets, going back to say the Gulf War, we saw stocks going, whenever the invasion started, stocks went down and oil went up. And then we go to Iraq War II and the complete opposite happened. On the invasion days, stocks put in a major low, went up, and oil went down. And so I'm not really sure what's going to happen this time around. It seemed like the day of the invasion, we had a situation where the opposite occurred, what everybody expected was going to happen. So we're just going to have to see what happens. There's a lot of information coming out about the war going on right now. And, we're just kind of following the price action on that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do see on exchanges, premiums for Bitcoin is soaring on exchanges servicing Ukraine as well as Russia. Do you think crypto is being used as a safe haven and is the digital gold that, its supporters say it is?
Very much so. That is what we love about the tech. It truly is a unique piece of technology that decentralizes and disrupts central banking. It's really hard to really fathom a world that does not involve central banking, but that is the world that Bitcoin envisions, and it really gives that power to people, to individuals. So the more we see situations like what's going on in Canada, where they're weaponizing their currency against people who are speaking up, the more I think Bitcoin is going to catch on. So we really do see that. We really do believe that that is the future, and that is where this is going to be heading. But in terms of it being digital gold. There's only, from my perspective as a portfolio manager who's been studying this for many, many years, there's only really three assets out there that have the kind of very difficult to achieve quality of being a store of value. The US dollar, you could use that almost anywhere in the world. Gold, considered valuable anywhere in the world. And I would even argue that Bitcoin now is something that you could probably make a transaction almost anywhere in the world with, just as easily with gold. However, everyone wants to say that Bitcoin is more volatile, and that's just not the case. As it's becoming more and more adopted, we're seeing that volatility really spread out. And when you compare it to gold, for example, since Bitcoin, gold has had a 45% drawdown, and it took 20 years to get back to its all-time high. And the US dollar has lost 93% of its value since 1913. So Bitcoin really does offer a much better, in my opinion, store of value compared to the alternatives out there. So we really think that trend is just going to continue to be adopted and grow.
So, Knox, if we could just kind of tease this out a little bit. I mean, I definitely agree with you philosophically about why Bitcoin makes sense as a safe haven, particularly as a time like now. The question is, what evidence do we have that Bitcoin is actually, or crypto rather, is actually being used that way? Because people keep asking that question, like, is it being used as a safe haven? What are you looking at to draw the conclusion that that's actually happening? I mean, are we looking at, for example, Bitcoin ruble trade, or, I'm just curious, like, what we could point to actually prove that thesis.
We're seeing more and more companies come online in the public markets that are adopting crypto, that are talking about crypto being a part of their business models. Numerous ones are doing that. I mean, Square just named their company to Block. It's a very large company. I mean, they see the vision behind that. So we're just seeing that. We're also seeing portfolio managers and institutions adopt crypto in a very big way. It's starting to become easily to be investable within the public markets more and more so. So I think people are seeing it just intuitively, especially with things like inflation picking up. People are just feeling the pressure, whether they're aware of it or not, of the current central banking system, and Bitcoin has just offered an alternative way out of that. So, I mean, we're seeing evidence of that with El Salvador. I mean, that's a tremendous move, a huge move. And now Spain is talking about doing this. So we're just seeing evidence of this playing out. It's if you're paying attention, you're seeing it happening.
Knox, any thoughts on the State of the Union by U.S. President Joe Biden last night? I mean, he didn't talk much about technology. I think the closest was a bipartisan innovation act to help fund manufacturing and Intel. He also discussed, fighting inflation by lowering costs instead of wages. Your take?
I tend to think that the less our government will do, the better off we'll be. And in terms of inflation, interestingly, Bitcoin has been knocked as an inflation hedge, and it's not doing that right now. So people are knocking that. And what's really interesting about what's going on right now is we're in this really unique situation with inflation where the US dollar is going up with inflation, and that shouldn't be happening. That, to me, is one of several anomalies that's going on with this current inflation situation that we're in. And typically, the dollar goes down. The more dollars there are chasing more, the more dollars chasing fewer goods means the dollar's value will go down. And to me, what we're seeing right now is a really unique kind of strange iteration of inflation that I think has more to do with supply chain issues, manufacturing issues than anything else right now. So, I tend to think that the free markets will work that out. I think a lot of evidence has been shown that some of the inflation pressures we're seeing are from global governments trying to shift and fix things. So I think the less they do and the more they let the free markets work it out, probably the better off we're going to be.